All right, let's dive in. Today, we're looking at what might just be the future of social media. We're talking about one of the most exciting new developments happening online right now, Farcaster frames. So let me just start with this question. What if every single post you scrolled past could be its own little interactive app? I mean, what if your feed wasn't just something you passively look at, but something you could actually play with? Like every post could be a game or a shop or even a piece of art you can change yourself. And hey, it's not just me hyping this up. The buzz around this tech is absolutely real. It feels like one of those moments where all of the developers and creative people are just jumping in at once to see what's possible. And honestly, the results are getting pretty wild. Okay, so what is all the buzz about? To really get why this is such a big deal, we've got to break down the basics. So let's start from the ground up. What exactly are Farcaster and frames? First up, Farcaster. You can think of it as the foundation for a bunch of decentralized social apps. It's a protocol, basically a set of rules. Now, the main app built on it is called Warpcast. And the easiest way to think about it, it's kind of like a Web3 version of Twitter, or X. You make casts instead of tweets. Simple enough, right? And that brings us to the star of the show, the frame. So a frame is basically a tiny little app that lives right inside one of those casts. On the surface, it's super simple. You get an image, you get up to 4 buttons to click, and maybe a little box to type in. But trust me, that simplicity is exactly what makes it so incredibly powerful. So how does the magic actually work? Well, it's this really simple, elegant loop. You see a frame, you click a button. Behind the scenes, that click sends a secure, signed message from your account to a server, proving it's really you. Then, that server does something. It runs some code, checks a database, maybe makes a new picture, and then, this is the cool part, it sends back a brand new frame as the response. And just like that, the post updates, and you're ready for the next interaction. Okay, so that's the tech behind it, a simple click and response loop. But why is everyone calling this a game changer? Well, it's because it totally challenges the walled gardens that we're so used to in social media today. I mean, just look at the contrast here. On traditional platforms, like X, the company controls everything. They decide what features you get. But with frames, it's an open invitation. Any developer out there can jump in and build their own experience. Your role as a user completely changes. You go from just passively liking and sharing to actively doing stuff. You're playing games, you're minting things, you're voting, all right there in the feed. The possibilities just explode. They go from being super limited to almost limitless. If you've been on the internet for a while, this might feel a little familiar. It's kind of like a throwback to the early days of Facebook apps, right? When you could put games and all sorts of widgets on your profile. But there is a huge, crucial difference. This is all happening on an open, decentralized web. Anybody can build for it, and no single company can just decide to shut it all down one day. All right, enough with the theory. Let's get to the really fun part. What are people actually building with this stuff? Because the creativity that's already on display is, well, it's just staggering. First up, art and personalization. Frames are letting creators do so much more than just post a static picture. For example, there's a frame that grabs your profile picture and puts this really cool glitch animation on it that you can then download. There's another one that's a piece of art with 4 layers, and you can toggle them on and off to change the whole piece. And one of my favorites generates a unique piece of art based on your Farcaster ID number. It's totally personal to you. How cool is that? And of course, wherever you find new tech, you're gonna find games. People have seriously turned these social media posts into tiny little arcades. And I am not kidding. Someone actually built a version of the classic game Doom inside a frame. Yeah, it's a little clunky to play, but it works. There's also a fully functional Wordle clone you can play every day, right in your feed. And then there's this brilliantly simple global game called Yoink, where everybody is fighting to be the one person who's holding this virtual flag. This quote about a chess game built in a frame just captures the whole vibe perfectly right now. While the buttons are a terrible way to make any moves, you have to admit that the back-end logic is pretty cool. And that's exactly it. Sure, playing chess with 4 buttons is not great. But the fact that a developer could cram all that logic, tracking the pieces, validating moves, showing the board, inside a simple post, that is just incredibly cool. But frames aren't just for fun and games. They're also becoming these really powerful tools for commerce and all things Web3. Yeah, this is where you start to see the real utility kicking in. Developers have built frames that can check your crypto token balance in an instant. Others let you mint a brand new NFT directly to your wallet with just one click. There's even an e-commerce frame where you can design a custom product and then click straight through to the checkout page, all inside the post. And finally, we're seeing frames change how we interact with content and build communities, making the whole feed a much richer place. So, for example, newsletter platforms are using frames so you can read a whole article or subscribe without ever leaving the app. Someone built a simple shared chat room where every click just adds your message to the thread. And creators are getting really clever, using them to grow their audience by offering a digital collectible, a POAP, but you can only claim it after the frame checks to make sure you're following them. So, after seeing all of this, what does it mean for the big picture? Let's zoom out for a second and really think about where this could all be heading. Okay, let's boil it all down. What are the key takeaways here? First, frames turn static, boring posts into interactive mini apps. Second, they blow the doors wide open on that walled garden model, letting anyone and everyone build. The creative possibilities are already spanning art, games, finance, commerce, you name it. And what this all points to is a fundamental shift toward a more active, more programmable social feed. It's not just something you consume anymore, it's something you do. So I'll just leave you with this final thought. We are at the absolute beginning of this whole experiment, but the foundation has been laid for a more open, a more creative, and a much more interactive internet. So if every post in your feed could be a portal to a new experience, the only question is, where are you going to go first?